There's a fear in America and in Britain that Chinese students are better than British students, better than American students, are better than the competition, and particularly better in STEM subjects, and are now proving to be better at AI. The reaction to China's recent AI breakthrough, DeepSeek's R1 model, encapsulates that growing Western anxiety that Chinese students, Chinese scientists, Chinese technology may not only be catching up, but overtaking their Western counterparts. And Donald Trump called it a wake-up call. Mark Anderson likened it to a Sputnik moment. Yet, rather than recognizing the challenge and rising to it, the US and the UK have defaulted to their usual response: censorship, repression, and economic sanctions. These are not solutions. These are acts of denial, equivalent to pulling down the blinds in a house that's already on fire. The only real answer is to double down on STEM education, invest in technological innovation, and rebuild the kind of industrial and research ecosystems that foster breakthroughs, and reach out to work together to be better all round. When news broke that DeepSeek's R1 was not only highly intelligent but also far cheaper to build than its American rivals, the markets went into freefall. Nvidia, the dominant force in AI hardware, saw its shares plunge. The US had restricted the sale of advanced Nvidia chips to China in an effort to hinder its AI development, but Chinese engineers found a way forward without them, and the reaction in Washington and Silicon Valley was swift and decisive. How could they do it without us? American AI executives, caught off guard, dismissed DeepSeek's success as derivative. It had to be. They couldn't have done it on their own, accusing it of lifting ideas from OpenAI's research. Cold warriors pointed to the fact that R1 had some quirks, such as appearing to think it was ChatGPT and steering clear of politically sensitive topics like Tiananmen Square. Yet these critiques missed the fundamental point. China's success in AI is not a one-off anomaly, but the result of a long-term strategy that prioritizes engineering excellence over financial speculation. And perhaps the most shocking element of DeepSeek's breakthrough was its willingness to go open source. Unlike OpenAI's heavily guarded models, DeepSeek published its methods freely, allowing researchers and developers worldwide to examine its code, and this move has sparked a new wave of independent research, including Western coders building on its foundations. Far from being secretive, closed off, this entity that some have feared, DeepSeek, has instead positioned itself as a global leader in collaborative AI development. It's also introduced a revolutionary shift in how AI operates. Unlike the behemoths data centers needed to run models like ChatGPT, DeepSeek's AI can function effectively or relatively cheap. Widely available, dependent on widely available hardware. Its low inference cost means that it doesn't rely on American chips. Huawei's improving semiconductors will suffice. That makes the AI accessible and adaptable, not just for corporations, but for individuals. The US response has been to double down on restrictions, sanctions, suppression. Yet history should already have taught Washington that trying to stifle innovation, Chinese or otherwise, only accelerates it. Huawei's rapid development of domestic chip manufacturing following American sanctions is a case in point. By attempting to kneecap China's AI ambitions, the US may be forcing Chinese firms to become even more independent, even more self-sufficient, even more brilliant. And the underlying problem is that America, and to some extent Britain, has neglected the very foundations that once made them technological powerhouses. In the mid-20th century, the best and the brightest in the West went into engineering, physics, and computing. Today, the most gifted graduates are drawn into finance management consulting and Silicon Valley's social media economy. As investor Charlie Munger once lamented, it's a national scandal that so much intellectual firepower is wasted on financial speculation rather than on making tangible technological advances. The bottom line is, it doesn't matter how brilliantly you can manage money, you're not going to make it until or unless you've got something to sell. China has taken a different path, and the right path. STEM education has become the backbone of its economic and technological rise, and for those Chinese students who can master language, English, the arts, they're unstoppable. A third of Chinese university students study engineering, science, or mathematics, compared to a fraction in the US and the UK. Moreover, China's industrial strategy ensures that these graduates work in sectors that drive real innovation rather than disappearing into hedge funds or ad revenue-driven tech firms. And the foundation of Chinese education is better by far than anything we've got in the UK. Now, I think we can replicate a lot of this, but only by reconsidering our educational model. In China, by the age of 14, students are still focusing on understanding Chinese history. In Britain, we're already talking about ancient Rome and Greece when they're about 9 years old or 8 years old or 6. It's Egypt, it's brontosauruses, and it's Greece and Rome. What about Britain? You know, the thing that China does is it inculcates, it develops a sense of pride in China before it develops anything else. The West doesn't need to fear Chinese technological progress. It needs to match it. And it needs to work with it. Suppression and sanctions are not solutions, they're admissions of failure. And if the US and the UK want to remain competitive, they need to take bold steps. First, they need to revive STEM education. A wholesale restructuring of the educational system is necessary, and this means making engineering and science careers more attractive, not just financially, but culturally. Secondly, they need to rebuild industrial capacity. The decline in manufacturing has severed the connection between scientific research and real-world application, and reindustrialization, recreativity, particularly in sectors like AI, quantum computing, renewable energy, and pure creative thought, is essential. 3. Fostering open source innovation. The success of DeepSeek demonstrates the power of open source AI. Western firms need to embrace collaboration rather than retreat into secrecy and into the legal fiction that is copyright. And fourth and finally, we need to end the culture of short-termism. The West's obsession with quarterly profits and immediate returns needs to be replaced with a commitment to long-term research and development. Public and private funding should focus on ambitious generational projects, not just the next IPO. Chinese technological advances, exemplified by DeepSeek, are not anomalies, they are the logical result of sustained investment in STEM education, industrial innovation, strategic planning, and discipline. The West cannot censor its way out of technological decline. Instead, it needs to rekindle the spirit of discovery and competition that once made it dominant. It needs to rethink how education should progress in the 21st century. Because if it doesn't, we are going to be trawling behind, not because we are stupid, but because we are stuck in the 19th century. Because believe me, the education system that we are still piddling out, I don't quite know which is the best noun to use, that educational system is rooted in the 19th century, slightly tweaked by the Model Ford T conveyor belt system, but it is still essentially a 19th century program where you feed something in at one end and out comes a university degree at the other. We are too obsessed with bits of paper. We need to be cultivating and encouraging commitment, discipline, and innovation. For too long, the US and the UK have rested on their laurels, assuming that technological superiority is their birthright. It's not. The lesson of history is clear. Empires rise and fall based on their ability to innovate and to adapt. And this is not a moment for paranoia, it's a moment for action, and the choice is stark. Revitalize and compete, or continue to flail in the face of inevitable change.